Firefighters in Greece have been battling to get wildfires back under control after they rekindled on Thursday evening west of Athens. The blazes forced renewed evacuations in an area that experienced some relief after 4 days of fires. DW correspondent Amien Essif sent us this report from Mandra near Athens, where people are seeing their homes and livelihoods devastated.
In the hills near the Greek coastline, we followed the fire brigade to a hotspot. Water-bombing planes and helicopters have kept the situation under control until now. The regional commander wants to show us the progress they've made. But when we arrive, the situation has changed. Another firefighter tells us the commander can't talk. They have an emergency on their hands. A fire is threatening to spread into a family-owned summer camp. It's been evacuated, but the owners are still here, helping as much as they can.
This camp is from 1953, and we had a similar incident. I was very young then, in 1985, and we managed to save it then. We hope to save it now. We were very optimistic in the morning. Now we are again very anxious.
They put out a call for help to the fire service to beat back the flames that are approaching their fence. Several water bombers landed direct hit, and the fire smolders.
3 or 4 times we've seen the fire simmer down because of the water being dumped from the sky, but then 3 or 4 times the fire rekindled, and we've seen them go back at it with hoses and even buckets of water.
Some of the firefighters have been working through the night and the morning and are exhausted. Finally, the commander says he can speak to us because the flames are once again dying down.
So we're trying to secure this camp here, and we're doing everything we can. And for now, we are managing. Okay?
But then there's a sudden commotion inside the gates of the camp. The fire has spread around the back. In just seconds, the hope that prevailed has turned to panic. A wall of flames is coming in on a new front where they weren't prepared. The heat is palpable, and so is the sense of danger. The owners look on in disbelief and then make a last attempt to save the tents that welcomed summer campers for generations. Then, just like that, it's all over. The fire barrels down the third side of the property, moving 100 meters in 10 or 20 seconds. The camp is all but surrounded with only one way out, back to the parking lot as fast as possible.
So it looks like they've lost control of the fire here. They're asking everybody to evacuate immediately.
The family that braved the wildfires all morning has lost the fight, and grief sets in.
We tried our best. Unfortunately, we couldn't do anything more. It meant a lot to us, and it means a lot to us. I don't want to use the past tense. We'll build it again. I'm certain about this.
It was all here 20 minutes ago, and now, unbelievably, it's gone. But everyone survived, and with them, the blueprints for how to rebuild.
And DW's Amien Essif, who filed that report, joins us now from Greece. Amien, we saw ordinary people there in that report helping to fight the fires. That must be very dangerous.
Sadly, it is very dangerous. It's also very common here. That's because the firefighters are stretched very thin. A local councillor for this town council here told us that it's the majority of people fighting fires are volunteers. She claimed that the government was sending almost no help to fight the raging fires around here. The government, on the other hand, says that it's just because they don't have the resources to fight all the fires blazing across Greece at the moment, and they warn residents not to stay in evacuation zones and try to save their property. As we saw, this can be incredibly dangerous. Things can change in just a second. Even at this location, the summer camp where we were, there were firefighters fighting alongside volunteers, and even the firefighters were startled by how fast this spread. Within 20, 30 seconds, it went from fire under control almost to we have to get out here as soon as possible in order to save our lives. So this is a conundrum for locals. Either lose your property because the government doesn't have the resources to save it, or lose your life trying to do that yourself. Sadly, we saw a family lose their property, but thankfully nobody lost their lives.
I mean, those wildfires around Athens have been burning for 5 days now. Give us an idea of the destruction they've caused and where things stand in the effort to get them under control.
Well, this area that I'm in right now is almost completely charred. Houses are burned down. You can see a hilltop that has no green foliage left on it, but just a hill across the way is still green, and that's where the water bombers are still dumping water constantly. You can hear them in the sky as I speak. Just yesterday morning, authorities thought that they had this Thervenochoria fire under control. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in Greece, but today they're back at it. Strong winds and increasing temperatures have whipped that back up again. Prime Minister Mitsotakis said that the country remains on high alert because this heat wave just isn't letting up. 42 degrees Celsius, that's 108 degrees Fahrenheit, is predicted for Sunday. So this weather is going to stay, and as we saw, it's probably not going to be the firefighters that get this under control. It's going to be the weather, a change in the weather that ultimately brings it to an end, and for the foreseeable future, that weather isn't going to change.
Amien, thank you so much. DW correspondent Amien Essif there in just outside of Athens.